Good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio. We're a bit late starting because of the fact that we've got radar noise on 8752. I'd hoped it was going to disappear, but no such luck. And we will carry on here on 8779. I'll do pauses every now and again, but I think we'll be here for the duration. Patricia and David with you on what is a cold morning again here. 13 degrees, 13, I believe it was 11 when David got up, but 13 was bad enough for me. 1013.8, it's on the rise again, 10 knots from the southwest and clear skies. So apart from the fact that the four people coming in will have it on the nose, it is at least a pretty day. We've got a few people actually have arrived. Maryland are actually in sight of land. They'll be coming into the bay today. They have got 15 to 20 southwest. Cold, they're complaining. 50% cloud cover up there. They'll be at Whangarei. They're just off Whangarei Heads at the moment. So good morning to you if you've got us on ground wave, Jeremy and Kelly. Welcome home. Sorry about the temperature, but there you go. Ranganui has reached the Bay of Islands. Alchemy 2 has made some progress. The winds are still up. They did not see, they've passed by the area where that catamaran was overturned and floating. So safely negotiated past that. If anybody wants that position, we haven't had an update from the Aussies, but I can give you the position that Barefoot reported the other day. Anyway, Alchemy 2 are getting about, let me see, 10 to 12 from the southeast. They are at 2615 south and 15836 east. Freedom Song, good morning to you, Gary. Not doing so well there. 2932 coming from New Caledonia to New Zealand. He's hove to at the moment at 16841 east. The wind is southeast 20 with a 2.5 metre southeast swell, so a bit hard trying to get southeast. He is going to have a bit of a problem between now and arriving. He thinks he's going to arrive on November 4th. We'll be keeping in touch with you, Gary, on the Hamnet when we lose contact with you. So he's got confused seas 1021. Quite a difference between here and there. Got a wonderful email from Pakileloa. The trough went through. Obviously, he didn't get much sleep last night. It went through between about 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock this morning. So they have got that all handed. Let me have a look. Where are they? They have got, at the moment, lots of rain. The worst of the swell, of course, was at low tide, so things have improved. They got lightning. They're going to leave Minerva this afternoon. We have one boat on its way from Minerva, but just pay attention to what David says shortly, because there is a bit of action to talk about, and you might want to have a bit of a think about leaving Minerva and not dealing with the worst of the trough. I'm a bit concerned about the people that have left, but anyway, we'll talk about that. Haven't had anything through yet from Privateer. Cetacean, nothing came through on your Oceans email, which sort of made me feel a little bit happy because we could never get our Oceans email to work either. So there you are. Serenity of Swanwick is on passage. They are, I think there's a bit of a mistake there. 39, he says, but I'd suggest that that's not quite right. Oh, it could well be. I've no idea. It's very confusing, but he's 30. I just don't see how he could be at 39 when he was at 31 yesterday. That must be a very, very fast boat. But anyway, he's got south-southeast 23 to 28, seas 2 to 2.5 metres. So not very comfortable on board the Serenity. Wouldn't be too serene, I wouldn't imagine. Okay, let's have a look at Taranui. The weather at Minerva at the moment, 1015, west-southwest 9 knots, about a metre of swell and mostly clear. So good morning to you three on Taranui. Okay, there is quite a bit of weather to talk about this morning. I know it's just not very wonderful conditions. This was meant to be a reasonably good passage, but it's just not turning out to be that. It's turning out to be very, very complicated. Let's have a look. Whistler are in Denarau, light winds, 20% cloud cover, 1007.2. 29, boy, it is really going up. And Imagine is in Port Denarau. Oh, Shanata in New Caledonia. Light rain, 10 knots of southeast. Ooh, must be very light in New Caledonia. Oh, yes, there's that little bit of, I see it now. But otherwise, not too bad at all. I'll quickly just give you a bit of news, particularly. Okay. We have a bit of a problem here. One of us likes an awful lot of heat and the other one doesn't. So the heater it's a bit of a battle. I think I'll unplug it so that the switch can go on and off and not concern me.
I'll
put the plug back there too. Okay, fires in California, folks. These are really, really horrific. Got an email yesterday from a friend I hadn't heard from for a few days. Marin County was entirely without power for a few days. Really tough on older people. They've lost their entire freezer full of food and just can't do anything to get rid of it. Got the email from the City Hall because that's where you can go and recharge your cell phones. But boy, in most parts of Sonoma are out of power too. Another friend in Santa Rosa sent an email from Sacramento where they've been evacuated too. It's just really, really grim. It's just amazing, really. In LA, they've got a very bad fire at the Getty Art Museum killed. It's in the path of the fire, but it is designed to be impervious to flames the way it has been designed and the materials. A lot of people have been evacuated, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the 185,000 people who have been evacuated down there. About 9 very palatial homes have been destroyed. It's just absolutely amazing that the state of California is in such a state with the power and the fires, and they're going to get worse evidently. The forecast is pretty grim with the strong winds. On the CNN News, there was, moving on to something different, there was a picture of the Belgian Malinois dog. These are the dogs that are now used by special forces. I've seen on YouTube of their training. They're absolutely incredible. They can climb trees. They can just instantly go from placid to really ferocious, gorgeous looking dogs. Anyway, this one was injured in the Baghdadi raid. He's okay now, but certainly is part of the team. In fact, at the Osama bin Laden raid, there was one too, and he went to the White House when they all got their awards from the president. So they're really part of the crew. Forces are, by the way, US forces are back in the east of Syria to protect the oil fields. They didn't stay up for too long. Hopefully they got a bit of R&R, but they're back there now. I'm not going to spend too much time on news today, folks, because we do have quite a bit. Well, David has quite a bit to talk about. A Bangladeshi cricketer has been banned for 2 years after failing to report a game-fixing offer. Shakib, don't know him, but anyway, Bangladeshis and Pakistanis aren't exactly known for their wholesome way they play the game.
Piece of work.
Piece of work, yes. Big riots in Lebanon, won't bother too much about that. Any of you going to the Australian coast, snorkeling in the Whitsundays is rather perilous. A British tourist had his foot removed by a shark yesterday, and another Brit got his whole leg mauled by a shark. It was in the passage between the Whitsunday Island and I can't read my own writing because my pen ran out. Something beginning with H. Anyway, I'm sure that you guys that know the area will know where I'm talking about. All right. Any of you out there, Kiwis, who have got a student loan still owing, And evidently people have these student loans for many, many years, and they mount up because you get charged interest. Some are getting arrested on entry back to New Zealand. Some people owe, that we're talking about six-figure loans with the interest. So be prepared if you're checking in to maybe hide from anybody, because there is quite an action now on overdue student loans in New Zealand.
Pretty pathetic.
Pathetic. Well, why is it pathetic? People have to pay loans. I mean, when I went through, I didn't have a loan because I didn't spend money on parties and alcohol and overseas trips and holidays and things. Pathetic if they don't pay. All right, well, we won't have an argument about that. Tiger Woods has now equalled Sam Snead's 82 career victory when he won the Zozo Championship in Japan. It's absolutely amazing how he's come back after that back injury. 82 career victories now. And I'm going to end with something really stupid. The life cycle of an eyebrow hair. Evidently, I don't know how people work these things out. There are 3 phases to an eyebrow hair. There's a growth phase called anagen, a resting phase called catagen, and a shedding stage called telogen. There's some men I don't think shed at all because their eyebrows get really, really bushy. The average lifespan of an eyebrow hair is 4 months, and the average person has between 250 and 500 hairs in each eyebrow, unless their wife attacks them with the tweezers.
Which is quite frequent.
Which is quite common around here.
So there's actually 4 types of eyebrows.
There's 4 types of eyebrows, yeah. The older you are, the longer it takes to grow eyebrows. Well, there you have it. Okay, is there any other things? Balak, reporting Muscat Cove, southeast 11 to 16, 1009, much more pleasant there than in the middle of the trough. And Savu, no wind, completely overcast. Good morning, Vandy. 1007, they got a bit of drizzle yesterday, but not the drenching that was predicted. Okay, that's about it. I'm just going to pause, folks, and check the other frequency. We're going to go back to 8752. Okay, folks, we are going to go back to 8752, because there are people that don't know how to switch to 8779. So if you could go back to 8752, please. And while we're waiting for people, is there anybody wanting to check in? Still nothing from Privateer or Cetacea, but hopefully all is well with you guys. We'll do the weather and then we'll have another call to see if anybody wants to check in. There are a couple of people who wouldn't mind knowing about the conditions that some of you are experiencing in that trough. All right, here's David.
Okay, good morning. And again, our look at 500 millibars shows a very sharp shortwave trough over eastern New Zealand. We talked about it yesterday, day before. There it is. The axis is right leaning, and it's leaning toward Tonga. Now, left leaning, straight up and down, right leaning. They all mean something, but we're not going to get into that at the moment. Suffice it to say that we do have a shortwave trough pretty much over New Zealand, a little bit to the east. There's a shallow 500 ridge over the northern Tasman, and unusually I see a closed low over Oz, well to the west of Brisbane, and that has developed into a massive cloud. If you look at your satellite imagery, you'll see that. Quite amazing. Now, let's look at the jet stream. There's 2 branches. The jet has split over Australia. That's not uncommon. The surface analysis, as yesterday, shows 2 highs, one in the upper Tasman, the other one south of French Polynesia. Now, under the jet stream, and particularly the jet streak that we have, and under the right side of the shortwave trough, so we look at the axis to the right of the axis. Now, looking at the surface, we see a surface low. And so both of those upper level items are supporting the low, creating it and supporting it. So the jet and the trough. Anyhow, the surface low is formed at 30 and the date line roughly, 30 south and the date line. And it's got a series of fronts and troughs that extend, well, every which way if you were to look at your New Zealand charts. Now, by tonight, the low is going to move east a wee bit. We'll call it 30 south and 175 west. So it's moved fairly fast, actually. Almost due south of Tongatapu. Now, by Friday, I'd say around lunch, the depression center should be near 32 and 162 west, so it continues east. Now, the Tasman high, now about 1026 millibar, is sitting near 33 and 161 east. Now, in between New Zealand and Australia, Austria?
That'd be a long way.
Yeah, anything could be sitting there. Okay, it's sitting between New Zealand and Australia, 33, 161. Now, the worry that we've had of a tropical disturbance developing into a tropical low up in the islands seems to be about nil based on the current models. I really can't pick up much of any rotation on the ASCAT microwave satellite reports either. So that's pretty good news. However, models are still picking up rotation over Fiji at 5 a.m. in fact, but moving very, very quickly toward Tonga by dinner. Then on Thursday, it scoots east out of the picture altogether. Now, even New Zealand Met shows a disturbance just to the west of Samoa and a second disturbance over Tongatapu, and they show a trough that's connecting the two. So various models and Met services are showing different things. Now, for the yachts that are underway, I'm afraid you are still going to have quite fresh headwinds between 30 south and New Zealand. They'll be southwest to south, thereabouts in that band, and they're about 25 knots. And I would say about 20 knots tomorrow with even higher gusts. Now, still headwinds on Friday. I'd say 15 knots, some 15 to 20 knots. Virtually the same thing on Saturday, but Sunday the winds finally turn to the southeast. Very, very light near New Zealand. 15 to 20 near 25 south. So very light near New Zealand, but 15 to 20 around 25 south. So those of you in the islands, if you're waiting until Friday, that's 1 November, for departure, with an arrival Friday 9 to 10 November, that looks reasonable at this time. This applies possibly to the Minervas as well. We'll talk about them in a minute. A very weak depression may go over New Zealand on the 7th and a more aggressive one on the 9th. So you could maybe squeeze in between the two or arrive around the 7th. Anyhow, then mostly westerly winds after that second one on the 9th. So these are not great arrival dates, but they could be acceptable. It's what you're willing to put up with. Again, they're not the strong ones that we had, that tragic one that we had a week or so ago, not anything like that at all. Anyhow, leaving prior to Friday is simply going to result in banging the boat up and banging your nerves up from what I could see. Again, yachts though that are underway can still use the 6th of November as an arrival date. Again, the next weak front is the 7th, then the second depression, the 9th. So that one is weak to moderate, but the main depression center is well to the south. So that's why I say weak to moderate. It really isn't that strong. up to the north of northern New Zealand. Now, the winds are going to be westerly during its journey to the east. So, arrival is, like I say, not great, but not a disaster either. You'll just be plain old happy and relieved that it's all over, I would think. Now, the following high, coming in around 11 or 12 November, is very nice, very mellow. So the slower yachts would have a very nice arrival. So you could actually put off leaving to maybe Sunday, and that's the 3rd of November. That's all very far out to be sure, but that's quite possible that you could delay that departure just a little bit or just slow down. Now, back to the Minervans. Now, many yachts are still there, which is good. The yachts that left, I just have to scratch my head. Anyway, the trough and depression that we have talked about has indeed put a bit of a squash zone on the eastern side of the high, which is in the mid-Tasman, like I told you a minute ago. Now, that high is heading for New Zealand, and almost over New Zealand come Sunday, Monday time frame. Not quite, but almost. But anyhow, the isobars on the east side are going to tend north-south for the Minerva area. Well, that's headwinds, folks. Leaving Thursday, I think, is too soon. Friday is better. Saturday or Sunday is even better. As the isobars finally start to bend, we start to see a ridge forming. We start to see an axis establishing itself, and the isobars bending as a result of that. And then we'll see southeasterlies become established. Yes, you could go Friday, but I'm personally thinking of comfort and simply not bashing the yacht. And not only that, better harmony with your mate, particularly if you're a couple. That's for sure. Frankly, Chameleon would probably wait until Sunday. And if we were in the islands, we would probably wait until the weekend before we took off. So whether it's Friday or the weekend, it boils down to accepting headwinds or waiting for the isobars to start behaving themselves. Of course, if you do leave Friday, a tactic simply could be to slow down, still arriving the 10th or the 12th of November. Again, that's very far out. It looks great now, but as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, the models are changing. And when they change, it's been, I don't want to say radical, but it's been a significant change when they do change. But that's what it looks like now. So let's look at the tropics. I'm just going to talk about the Solomon's Trough. There are other troughs up there, a lot of activity, convective activity, but the only one we really care about is the Solomon's Trough. That's the pertinent one. So it runs toward northern Vanuatu. It curves to not quite center punch Fiji, a little bit to the northern part of Fiji, then on to northern Tonga, then Niue, and eastward. Now, a disturbance is established. Well, it's not established. It's estimated to be just to the northwest of Vanuatu. It does have one closed isobar per Fiji Met. That's the only one that's put an isobar on it, I think. New Zealand Met has not. Anyhow, I do pick up slight cyclonic rotation on my satellite loop. So if I look very closely at it, zoom it up as much as I can without destroying what it looks like, I can see 700 millibar rotation, which should translate to the Earth, 850 to 700 millibar. You can see the turning. Now, the main cloud band, though, is between Vanuatu and Samoa. It's not over Fiji. There's some cloud over Fiji, no mistake about that, but the worst of it is between Vanuatu and Samoa. And they are clusters of thunderstorms, not very unpleasant area to be in. And all of this is drifting more or less east. So let's hope that it all goes that way and gets out of your hair. Looking at Tonga now, there is a strong wind warning and small craft advisory that remains in force for all Tongan waters. Plus, there is a heavy rain warning and a flash flood advisory that remains in force for all Tongan land areas. Now, there is an active trough over the group, and it's going to remain tomorrow, Thursday, as well. So expect east to northeast winds, 15 to 20, rising 25 to 30, shifting south to southwest later. About tomorrow, south to southwest, rising to 25 at times. Seas, boy, they're up there, 3 meters, plus a southwest swell to 2.5 meters. So leaving now for New Zealand is well, it's clearly not a good idea. Okay, now over to wet Fiji. The trough remains slow moving, particularly over the northern areas of the group. Fiji Met has issued a strong wind advisory, same thing as yesterday really, for Yasawa and Mamanuca waters, southwest Viti Levu waters, Kendavu Passage, Vatui Ra Passage, the Lau waters, and the Koro Sea, virtually all of Fiji. We've got a strong wind advisory. So winds east to southeast, 20 to 25, shifting later to the south to southeast. Tomorrow, southerlies up to 20 knots. Southerlies, get that, southerlies. Expect higher gusts on top of that. And imagery shows for the group scattered to broken. The main rain is to the northeast of Vanua Levu, but other areas will get scattered showers as well. But there's those southerly winds. You really don't want to depart in that, I don't think. Vanuatu looks very nice on imagery. Scattered cloud could bring light, brief showers this morning for Luganville, maybe Port Vila too. Fresh winds, all right. Expect southeast 20 to 25. Pretty rough seas, 2.5 meters out there in the open water. Tomorrow, still southeast, but a bit of an ease, I think. I'll call it 15 to 20, and about the same thing on Friday. New Caledonia very quickly looks good as well on imagery, but very breezy today. Expect southeast 18 to 20, scattered cloud, a few showers here and there. About the same thing tomorrow. Friday and Saturday. Saturday is worse. I see 20 knots in the mean and gusts to 30 knots. And that's mostly east-southeast. That's a good direction for leaving, but that's a fair amount of breeze. But big heavy boat might not care. And well, that's it. I'm not going to go into any more detail. That's a lot to digest. I think you've gotten the idea as to what we think about leaving and when and what the arrival dates look like. These arrival dates that I gave you, they look fairly nice. And as I said yesterday, November is changing. The pattern, while we seem to be getting some very quick depressions and fronts go through, the highs, when they do come through, are quite mellow. We're not seeing the 1030s and the 1035s. We're seeing 1022s, 1024s, and fairly broad. So arrival on those highs is a relief, quite pleasant. So anyhow, you'll let us know what you're doing. And thank you very much for those that have sent reports, particularly Pakalailoa, yes, in Minerva. I asked that they would please give me the winds as this trough went through, and that those poor people, they must have stayed up all night. But they gave a very, very good report, and that's very helpful to me because now I'm going to go and look at each of the models, and I'm also going to check out the microwave satellite if I can get a swath that goes through there. So those reports are incredibly useful, and we appreciate it. And as Patricia has said 1,001 times, that when you send in various reports, whether it's EIT or whatever, not only put your name and the subject, but give us the weather, because I do look at that. Some boats don't bother, and that's not nice, because it's really helpful to me, and if it's helpful to me, it's helpful to you. So there we go. Here's the chief.
And talking about boat reports, I haven't heard from a privateer today, so if anybody on SOPAC is talking to them or has them on VHF, I don't know that they've got a single sideband, but anyway, they are in an area where I am concerned. So if someone could let me know where privateer is, that would be good. Yesterday, they were at 2425 south and 17737 west about this time. Okay, is there anybody wanting to give us a report or a position or ask a question? We're here. Nothing heard here. Is there any relays? Nothing heard either, so we don't have anything coming through on streaming question-wise. Thank you for the reports there, and we will be back tomorrow. Anyone who wants to contact us, the email is ghradio, all run together, ghradio@extra, which is just XTRA, X-ray Tango Romeo Alpha, .co, Charlie Oscar, .nz, New Zealand. Okay, folks, that's about it from here. I don't think there's anything else that we need to cover. Just looking through my list, I know there are some people on their way to Australia, and do be careful if you're heading south of Bundaberg. It doesn't affect those folk, but anybody who is going south of Bundaberg to Brisbane or wherever, coughs. The position of that flipped cat, as reported on the weekend by Barefoot, who were in touch with a boat that went right past it, 2531.67 south. That is 2531.67 south and 160.19.43 east. 160 degrees 19.43 east. It was about 390 miles from Brisbane, right on your run-line track. Okay, folks, have a good day, and we'll be back again tomorrow. I think we'll be up on the roof today, hopefully to just check out this little bit of a problem I seem to have with the antenna after all the strong winds that we've had. Cheers all. Very quiet day today.
Not a soul.
Not a soul. Probably lost them all.